It was my husband Oliver that brought me to Bristol. I remember when I first met Oliver. We met through a mutual friend. He came across as really wacky and geeky, but really rather sweet. He was wearing this wonderful jacket that had all sorts of ridiculous things stitched onto it. He kept talking to me for pretty much the whole evening, even though I looked ridiculous, because I was dressed up as a fairy. And he was meant to be spending time with his friend, whose birthday it was. I loved being in Birmingham, as I was so comfortable there. It really felt like home. I had lots of friends I was close to, and I was always busy doing things and having people over. Oliver loved being in Bristol though, and he had commitments there, and so when we got married I moved to Bristol. Just the thought of moving to somewhere new filled me with anxiety and horror at having to make new friends. I loved being around people, but I felt so rubbish at making new friends. When I got to Bristol I found it so difficult to fit in at first. We had a lot of friends and family around us, and I got on with them fine, but they were his friends that I had inherited rather than ours. I managed to get temporary work, but even the two girls I started with knew Oliver. I wanted so much to establish myself as a person in my own right in Bristol, but I struggled to do that so much. When the temping work ended, I didn't have many reasons to get out of the house. I'd become so anxious, even about just leaving the house, especially if it was without Oliver. I didn't seem to have enough of my own identity anymore. It was all merged into one. I would cling to his arm like a child. The days often seemed to go on forever. I found it so hard to get rid of negative thoughts. I would get increasingly paranoid the more I stayed in the flat. I felt so penned in. Every little task seemed to cause me stress. It was worst when I was on my own with nothing but my thoughts. I remember going to counselling, and the counsellor asking how my Christian faith was relevant to the situation I was in. I remember thinking, I have no idea. I don't know what to do from here. I tried to organise me to get with friends more, which helped a lot. I love having people over and listening to what they had to say, where they had been and where they were going in life, their opinions on things. I love to make people feel welcomed. This provided me with a way I felt I could be useful in some way when I struggled to get a job. We have a visitors book that I get people to write in. It's a lovely thing for me to look back on and see that people have enjoyed our hospitality and felt welcomed in our home. I have a lot more structure in my life now as I have a job. The way I often felt so alone and negative about my own life when I didn't know what the future held spurs me on to help others and include people. When I look back, I think God was using that time when there didn't seem to be that much positive stuff going on to give me more empathy and a heart for the lost, the lonely and the outsider.